Welcome back to the channel. My name is Squeaksy and today we're going to be going through the Bunny Maloney iceberg. An iceberg, for the people who don't know, is a chart that at the top shows facts that are basically well known about the topic, but the further you go down the iceberg, the facts are more unknown and deeper with each new layer. As for Bunny Maloney, this was a French animated TV show made in 2009, created by Studio Tanuki, directed by Stéphane Stoll and produced by Moonscoop Group. The show follows three main protagonists called Bunny, Candy and their friend Jean-Francois, who can only say his own name. They fight the evil Professor de Billerman, the main antagonist of the show. The show ran for one season before it was cancelled, and it consists of 52 episodes, all of which are in French and some having English dubs, with 23 of these English dubs being lost to the public. Now that you know a bit about this show, let's get into the iceberg. As I just talked about this, I'm going to keep this one short, but the show was originally created in France, meaning that every episode was in French. There are English dubs for this show, however, and you can find them on YouTube, but 23 of these are lost media. However, there has been some found footage of the English dubs posted to YouTube, but they are really short. Some episodes that are lost are episode 47, Doomsday, episode 39, Passport to Bunnyvania, episode 33, Lost and Found, episode 48, Computers Have Feelings Too, and episode 49, Trading Places. These are just some of the many episodes that have the English dub lost, but the original French ones are intact. It is important to mention that episodes 36, The Good, the Bad and the Cookie, along with episode 30, Charity, originally thought to be lost media, have been found with the English dubs and the French visuals. This entry is probably one of the most obvious ones. If you've watched the English dub of the show, you'll realise that they gave Bunny a New York accent, which personally fits him really well as a goofy and adorable character.
Jean-Francois, our friendship is going through the social shredder and it's set to pulp. Pack your bags and get out!
The fact Bunny is like the type of petty character who goes to great lengths to get revenge on people, even to his own girlfriend, and the type of superhero to not save the people he doesn't like. I'm looking at you, Louis Piccolin. Really makes his character and accent just fit together really well. This entry refers to the main antagonist of the show called Professor de Billerman and his sidekick Mochi. They live in a submarine that most of the time is where they pull their evil schemes, and at the end of every episode we see the submarine sinking, whether it's from missiles, pressing the self-destruct button, or from a giant mutant bunny. It doesn't really matter. It is guaranteed that this submarine will sink every episode. This entry refers to one of the main characters of the show called Jean-Francois. We first see him in the rest of the crew in Attack of the Giant Red Octopus, and he's shown as a very calm character who's very emotional. Out of all the characters of the Protect team, which by the way is a superhero team made up of the three main characters, Jean-Francois is the only calm and sane one, while Bunny's just lazy and self-centered, and Candy's a very controlling and selfish person, especially to Bunny when things don't go her way. I think it's safe to say that in the Protect team, without Jean-Francois in there, the whole team would just fall to shit. Louise Piccolin is a fly who works as a trash collector in the show and is seen to have a big obsession with Bunny in the Protect team, specifically wanting to join it. He's seen to have many pictures of Bunny in his room, and Bunny does basically everything he can to avoid Louise, even like hanging up calls. I guess you could just say that he's a super fan of Bunny and the Protect team, but the way he acts around him and the fact he has just random pictures of him in his room is just really weird, and he has a really big obsession over him. This entry is about Professor de Billerman and his failed plans to mess with the Protect team, most of which involve harming Bunny in some way. Most of his plans are motivated with his obsession over taking Candy from Bunny, as he has a massive crush on her. He's done things like in Casanova Clone, where he creates a clone of Bunny so he can kidnap Candy. And in the episode Candy's birthday surprise, he proceeds to steal all the clothes Candy wanted Bunny to buy due to him forgetting her birthday, which for hopes that she'd dump Bunny and get with Professor Debillerman instead.
Debillerman!
When it comes to a show like this, you wouldn't expect it to air on a children's network, let alone more than one. Well, it did. Cobillion is a US-based children's network that airs, well, children's shows. The English dub of Bunny Maloney was one of these shows that were aired on the network back in the day. The show ceased airing on the network around 2010 due to what I assume was many criticisms surrounding the show and its themes. Even going to the official website and searching for the show, I couldn't find anything related to it, so I feel like they carry a sense of shame with Bunny Maloney. Canal Plus, on the other hand, was a French network that also aired this show in the original French dub. Now, I can't actually find anything surrounding if Bunny Maloney stopped airing on Canal Plus, but it first premiered on the network on June 29th, 2009, around a year before it was cancelled altogether. If anyone watching me can tell me whether the show is still airing on Canal Plus, then I'd be interested to know. This entry really calls me out because the only reason I know anything about this show is because of the recently gained popularity. Around a month ago, this show had a massive boost in the popularity, and I can only think that is with the help of YouTuber Lie Speaks. In the video, they do a really good job of analysing every episode of the show, and this is what got me first to hear about all the show. All in all, I highly recommend that you watch the video made by them, and I have no doubt the video helped Bunny Maloney reach new people who haven't heard of the show before. This show is filled to the brim with inappropriate jokes. The first being in the episode The Dispense Sense 9000. In this episode, Candy says to Bunny that they should have an
Early night?
as she explains what it means, and pole dancers. This isn't the only case of the show being really inappropriate, as what's next on the list is one of the worst scenes to happen in the show, but this whole show and all the themes surrounding it just seem to really not tie into the fact that it is supposed to be a kids show. And I really think that this show would have been better if it was not for kids and more for adults instead. This scene was in the Dispense Sense 9000 again. When Jean-Francois gets kicked out of the Protect team's house due to the Dispense Sense falsely translating his words into rude insults, Bunny and Candy want to rent out his room. One of these people is Charlotte, who seems more than pleased at the opportunity to be with Bunny. She starts to She starts to spread her legs in front of Bunny while teasing him about her not wanting him to wander into her room late at night. Jesus fucking Christ. This is another example of the show and it having really horrible jokes. Like, I cannot believe this got greenlit. This one is very obvious, but has anybody ever noticed how, like, Charlotte doesn't add anything to the show? Her only character trait is that she just gets with anybody who speaks to her, and she doesn't have, like, any traits or personality that makes her a likable character. She doesn't have, like, any hobbies or any character development in the show, and the only thing we know about her is that her parents left her at the camp for months and didn't come back for her, as she said on one of the episodes. I really think that Charlotte would have been an alright character if she had any sense of personality rather than just being somebody who over-sexualizes themselves in basically every episode, especially to Bunny. She even says it right in front of Candy too, which is wild. I'm going to keep this one short because 3 Charlotte entries one after the other is going to get really boring. But Charlotte's actually known to be a goat and not a cow. I'm pretty sure this is referenced lightly in one of the episodes, but the thing that made me realise this was the wiki of Bunny Maloney. This states a species as a goat and not a cow. She was originally supposed to be a lamb, but that was changed into what we see today. The Bunny Maloney pilot is probably one of the weirdest pieces of media I've ever witnessed in the history of the internet. We see our earlier design of Jean-Francois, and is it just me who thinks he looks more grey than blue in the pilot? His limbs are also really long and stretchy and they just don't look right. Jean-Francois literally breaks it down so hard on his dancing game, he cracks the walls and breaks his game console. Now that takes some skill, I gotta be honest. Jean-Francois then happens to walk in on Bunny and Candy going at it in bed. What is it with this show and like really sexual themes? Like, why do they do that? Bunny then gets so angry with Jean-Francois, I've just butchered that. He beats the ever-living shit out of him. And then later, they fight the evil red octopus. What the fuck? The animation looks like something you see on Flash in like 2010. And seeing Candy going at it with Bunny was like not what I wanted to see when I was watching it. Before I get into this entry, I'm going to address both sides of this. I do think that this show isn't fully meant for kids, which is why I kind of put a question mark at the end. But I believe it's more made for like teenagers and adults. I'm actually really uncertain who the show is for, because the art style tells me it's made for kids because of like its cartoon look. And the fact that they don't say any swear words in the show just makes me think it's like kid friendly. But then like you get into the actual show and the stories and the characters, like they are not family friendly in some of the things they do. Like Think Extinct is just Bunny and Candy trying to get Jean-Francois laid to save a species. That is not something a kid show would probably have. I mean, they refuse to even like say the word sex in the episode, which is weird, but then the episode turns around and just is a kid show. I don't understand that, but okay. But as much as I want to believe that this show isn't made for kids, I don't understand why it won't be airing on a kids network. Okay, let's be real now. The entry doesn't come to a surprise to me, but the reason this show was actually cancelled after a single season was most likely due to the criticisms it received due to parents not liking the themes of the show and the jokes it contained too, which obviously led to the low ratings it received. I mean, what parent would want to come into a living room and see their child watching an anthropomorphic cow spreading her legs in front of a main character? I can't believe that's just a thing I've said out loud. So Think Extinct is the show's 41st episode, and in the episode we find out Jean-Francois is a part of a rare exotic species that's close to extinction. Luckily, in the Amazon rainforest or somewhere, there's been another member of the same species spotted, who's called Jean. Candy and Bunny come up with a plan to have Jean-Francois and Jean repopulate to save them from total extinction. However, the way they do this is by forcing Jean-Francois to do this, and it's made public, so the news is basically all over it and everybody's watching the moment happen. After he's made fun of it by the public and made fun of by basically everyone, Jean-Francois locks himself in his room and he starts to cry. When Bunny goes to check on him, he realizes Jean-Francois is actually missing and the noise is a recording made by him. This causes Bunny and Candy to suit up and go looking for him. After they find him, they scoop him up and literally drop him off at a dinner table being set up by the military. The episode ends after everyone realizes that Jean is like 2 feet tall and escapes from Debilliman's minions who try to capture her, and she tricks them, leading to, obviously, the submarine sinking. The reason I think the theme of this episode is dark is because the whole episode, Jean-Francois is basically being forced to have an intimate moment with Jean in public. For the whole episode, we see him overwhelmed by everything and even running away from the Protect team to just avoid everybody. Bunny and Candy just never help him, and when he's crying in his room, the only reason Bunny checks on him is because he's annoyed when he keeps crying. I just think that Jean-Francois really goes through it in some episodes. He needs a better team. Contrary to the last entry, this doesn't need as much explaining as it's obvious to see. Bunny and Candy in most episodes are always really arguing about the dumbest of things, and in some episodes they even fight each other. Yeah, I think they should just get a divorce at that point. Before the end of the video, I just want to say that I apologize if my voice sounds really raspy. I don't feel very well right now, and I still want to try to upload, so I kind of just still recorded. I really hope you guys enjoy this type of content, and I hope to see you in the next video too. So have a good day and goodbye.